This town has a symbol. It's got to be that bridge hanging over it. Hey, Zach. No, nothing. Just felt like saying that. Yes, I'm talking about him. Hoonga, is the skeletal gentleman friend or foe? Or does he merely exist outside the realms of either? Still too early to tell. But it's clear that he'll be the key to uncovering this case's mysteries. That's what my soul tells me. By the way, Zach, Hoongan feels very familiar to me. You might even say he reminds me of someone. Yes, I think I see the connection now. A cheerful, wise, yet also mysterious African-American who appeared in a variety of different films. My mind must be overlapping him with the skeletal gentleman. Do you remember his name? Ah, yes, that's it. Scatman Crothers. In 1980, he played Dick Halloran in The Shining. And in 1983, he was in The Twilight Zone. He played the man who invited all those elderly folks into a strange new world. I knew it, Zach. There's definitely a connection here. But he's a bit too old. Scatman's more of a sage character. Our skeletal gentleman is a little younger, isn't he?
Ugh, the air out there don't feel right today. You feel it? Ugh. Come back. You ain't gonna find any.
So, what do you think of him? Yes, I'm talking about him. Hoonga, is the skeletal gentleman friend or foe? Or does he merely exist outside the realms of either? Still too early to tell. But it's clear that he'll be the key to uncovering this case's mysteries. That's what my soul tells me.
Thou art a seeker. Verily, much shall serve thee well here. I can see it. Thou hast discovered the very purpose of my emporium, that is.
Hey, want to talk about bridges? Why? I've become obsessed with bridges, Zach, and there's no turning back now. Remember what we saw on our way here? Back when we were driving that hybrid car before we switched over to the skate. We passed over the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, the longest bridge over water in the entire world. Remember the sudden downpour that made it impossible for us? pushing up parts of the asphalt and the sidewalk. Those bumps were dangerous even when we still had our car, remember? But this town is different. The streets are all paved so cleanly that we can skate along them without a care in the world. And there's hardly any trash or graffiti to be found anywhere. The Clarksons truly do control this place. For better or worse, it's a good example of how allowing certain people to rise to power can have positive effects as well. Also, don't you... Hey, Zach. No, nothing. Just felt like saying that. Hey, Zach. No, nothing. Just felt like saying that. Hey, want to talk about bridges? Why? I've become obsessed with bridges, Zach, and there's no turning back now. Remember what we saw on the way here? Back when we were driving that hybrid car before we switched over to the skateboard. We passed over the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, the longest bridge over water in the entire world. Hey, want to talk about bridges? Why? I've become obsessed with bridges, Zach, and there's no turning back now. Remember what we saw? One lollipop? Two lollipops? Three lollipops? Don't mind me, Zach. This is how I wake myself up. Zach, you're a coffee person, right? No sugar, only milk. Yes, I'm completely with you on that one. One lollipop? Two lollipops? Three lollipops? Don't mind me, Zach. This is how I wake myself up. Did you notice it yet? The streets in New Orleans were a mess. All busted up and undergoing maintenance. The city was built on a swamp, so the ground is soft. All it takes is some heavy rain to cave it all in. There were also a lot of places where large tree roots were pushing up parts of the asphalt and the sidewalk. Those bumps were dangerous even when we still had our car, remember? But this town is different. The streets are all paved so cleanly that we can skate along them without a care in the world. And there's hardly any trash or graffiti to be found anywhere. The Clarksons truly do control this place, for better or worse. It's a good example of how allowing certain people to rise to power can have positive effects as well. Also, don't you find that Southern people are remarkably friendly, even to total strangers? Both here and in New Orleans, I've been amazed at how cordial everyone is. Is it just the way things are down here? You certainly don't see that sort of thing in New York or D.C. They never stop to chit-chat, especially when ordering food. They only say what's necessary, without any decoration. The customer only makes eye contact with the waiter about once every 3 times they interact. But that's just how it is. Isn't that right, Sam? The human relationships here are as fluid as an inorganic mechanism running on the smoothest, purest oil there is. And it feels strangely comfortable after spending time in New Orleans and coming here. I think I'm starting to like the Southern disposition. They even have their own breed of bizarre crimes. And besides, the New Orleans area is famous for its paranormal culture. I'm sure it'll entertain us somehow. It's still a bit of a ways off, but perhaps we can also do a little case study for our post-retirement plan. What? You still think it's too early for that? I wouldn't say so. It's never too early to be prepared. Come on, I know you're with me on this one, Zach. This town sure is peaceful, Zach. Yes, I know. I know what you're about to say. But that's why we're here. to protect this peace. Isn't that right, Zach? Did you notice it yet? The streets in New Orleans were a mess, all busted up and undergoing maintenance. The city was built on a swamp, so the ground is soft. All it takes is some heavy rain to cave it all in. There were also a lot of places where large tree roots were pushing up parts of the asphalt and the sidewalk. This town sure is peaceful, Zach. Yes, I know what you're about to say. But that's why we're here, to protect this peace. Isn't that right, Zach? Hey, Zach, it looks like we were right on the money. Tracing the Sang Rouge distribution route led us right to Louisiana. You know what that means. We've got a hot hand. And Lady Luck's given us far more favor than she ever has before. We just happened to hear news about Lisa's murder while sitting in a bar during our vacation in New Orleans. That certainly wouldn't have happened if we had stayed in D.C. They would have given the case to another special agent, or maybe even to the state, and then we never would have found it. In the end, it would have been shut up in that vast, desolate evidence. It really seemed like you knew who Galena Clarkson was.
Well, I've never actually talked to her. But it's a small town. Pretty much all folks know who the Clarksons are. And Galena's supposed to be extra scary compared to the rest of them. Back when we saw her in town, I felt like she was glaring right at me. So I got real scared. No one will come out and say it, but I'm pretty sure they're all relieved that she was the killer. We're lucky the killer ended up being a member of the Clarkson family. Otherwise, the whole town would have turned into a battlefield.
You've got a point, but did everyone really hate her that much?
They didn't hate her. She hated them. She had this real peculiar way of treating people. I don't know how to describe it.
Contemptful?
Yeah, I guess that's it. She never opened up to anyone in town.
She was rich, beautiful, and wanted to become an actress. So she went to a metropolitan city to refine herself. There's always a chance that people like her may develop prejudices towards those who stay in the countryside. A big chance, even. But just because a person has prejudices doesn't mean they'll go out and murder people. That's where my doubt lies. Was there any sort of omen which made people happy that she was the killer instead of someone else?
I'm just telling you how I feel. How am I supposed to know if everyone else in town felt the same way? I never thought she'd actually go and kill her own daughter, though.
There it is, Zach. It appears that her attempt to kill me wasn't simply a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Maybe she would...